So let's talk rutabaga. Hi, I'm Alexa, and today we're going to be harvesting rutabaga here in my garden in Northeast Ohio. We're at the end of June, and this rutabaga I started from seed end of February, transplanted it out sometime in the middle of April, and here at the end of June I have the biggest rutabaga that I have ever grown. I'm actually pretty shocked about it. So on this lovely Saturday, June morning, come on with me and let's pull these out. So I have my rutabaga situated along the outer edge of this circle here, and this is my spring garden, cool weather crops. And in this bed I have a variety of red cabbages, kale, this is the rutabaga, Swiss chard, lacinato kale, snap peas. I had cilantro and mustard greens growing, but they have gone to seed. All kinds of really lovely spring goodies growing on in here. So let's talk rutabaga. Down here at the base of this rutabaga plant, we've got our beautiful rutabaga root bulging out of the ground, just waiting to be picked. We're talking about rutabaga. Here, look. What do you think of that? Did you eat the, well, you can eat the leaves. I don't know if they taste very good.
They don't.
What do you think? I'm gonna pull those out.
Pull them out. That's pretty big.
It is big. I've got many of them already. You did it. You gotta give it a shake. No, not on me. Ah! Oh, you're making everything dirty.
You said shake it.
That's fine.
I shook it up.
You shook it. Thanks for your help.
Yeah.
So rutabagas can take between 80 to 100 days to fully mature. Rutabagas out here in the garden were transplanted on April 22nd, so I did a Google search and found a website that said how long ago was this? And it's been 64 days since they've been out in my garden. Now, when I actually started the seeds in my house in the middle of winter, it was February 27th. And so that was 118 days ago when I put seeds in soil. And it did take some time for those to germinate. Obviously, I think it maybe was a week or so that it took for them to germinate. So kind of doing the math backwards, these plants have been alive for 100 days. They are very ready to harvest. I mean, honestly, I probably should have harvested them a couple weeks ago, but life got in the way and we're harvesting them today. This one is so big. Now rutabagas can easily get up to the size of a softball, which I would say this is definitely softball size. Recommended, it is better to pick them when they're smaller because they're more tender, when they're about 3 to 5 inches in diameter. Now this one is, yeah, much bigger, and the longer they stay in the ground, they kind of get woody or pithy, just meaning like there are some holes and things that start to form imperfections, and they're a little bit tougher, so the processing time may be a little bit longer to cook them so they're soft. But they are still completely edible at this point. Compared to my hand, this root is very, very big. And this is a very, very big plant. And the greens are also edible. They are kind of tough, so this would be something best to cook down, like as a spinach, or maybe, you know, you'd like to dehydrate them and turn it into a powder for your smoothies or soups. But the rutabaga leaves are edible. If you don't want to eat them, put them in your compost pile or give them to some chickens or pigs or cows, you know, if you have those animals. Pulling them out of the ground is just grabbing onto the greens and give it a good tug. Just shaking off all of the excess soil here. That's a big bega. Look how big this thing is. It smells like earth. And if you're wondering, so a rutabaga kind of tastes like a turnip. And this is a purple top rutabaga. It's pretty much like the American standard type of rutabaga. And the way I kind of describe the flavor, it's kind of like a cabbagey potato. It definitely has more of a bitterness than a potato. But you can saute them, you can cube them, you can mash them, you can stick them in a stew. There are many versatile uses for the rutabaga, and they do store pretty good in cool storage. So if I had like a root cellar or maybe like a extra refrigerator that I could kind of keep the temp down on, rutabagas will store pretty good in cold storage for some time. So with that beauty harvested, let's go ahead and get the rest of them. So this rutabaga plant is being attacked by the cabbage worm. See all these holes, and all those black speckles are cabbage worm poop. And the reason the worms are eating these leaves is because a rutabaga is part of the brassica family, and cabbage worms love to eat these things. If you've ever seen a little white moth butterfly floating around your yard, they're just completely white and they look kind of pretty. They're not. They're monsters. They like to lay their eggs all over your brassica leaves. Your cabbage, your broccoli, your cauliflower, kale, rutabaga. They will lay their eggs on those leaves. And then, once those eggs emerge, once those eggs hatch and the little larva comes out, and there are these little tiny green worms that grow and grow and grow, and then they devour your plant. They will eat your leaves, they make holes all throughout them, and if you have things like broccoli and cabbage, those little tiny worms will get in all the little nooks and crannies and grooves of the plant. And so when you're going to harvest them and you're washing them off, you have to make sure that there's no little green wormies. Ooh, I see one. That is one of the moths. Now right now they're enjoying the lovely nectar of the mustard green flowers. But those sweet little moths, their larvae will ruin your plants if they can. There are some natural organic options like the neem oil, like the diatomaceous earth, or try and just keep your plants covered. So like late May, when those moths start to come out, keep some kind of netting over your plants, and that will also help keep them off. Over there in my garden, I've got 3 different little tunnel systems set up with a tool net over it, and that's where I have another set of brassicas, and those are protected from the moths. Everything in this garden area is, I mean, obviously out in the open. I didn't cover them. I take the chance to see what's gonna work and not work, and I knew that this could definitely happen. But actually, this is one of the worser plants that I've come across in here, so the moths are not taking too much havoc, and most of the crops in here are harvestable, so I think I'm gonna be all right. So this next one, as soon as I saw it, I thought of Jupiter, so I'm calling this one Jupiter. The Jupiter rutabaga, everybody. Hello, Jupiter. Well, we have another monster. So now I have my rutabagas all along my circle here. I gotta go collect them. They are beautiful. It's warming up here pretty quickly. I slept in a little bit this morning because it's Saturday, and that's what I like to do on Saturdays, is get some extra rest. And I got out to my garden a little bit later than I probably should have, and it's 10 o'clock, and so the sun is cresting up over the trees here, and now it's getting very hot, so I need to finish getting the rest of my rutabagas, which are in here in this tunnel. This lifts up, and I've got some rutabaga in here too, so we'll get those harvested and then get in the shade. Up like that. Now let's see if we can find the rutabaga. I've got all kinds of stuff in here, different cabbages. These actually look ready. These are a Chinese cabbage. They're heading up nicely. Ah, there's a rutabaga. Actually appears that these rutabaga are a very ideal size. They're pretty small and young still. There's another one. So I'm happy to pick these today before they get really big. This one's actually more long than it is round, but it's a very nice root. So for size comparison, you can just see how big these ones are compared to the ones that were under my little low tunnel. These are a good size. I did notice these smaller rutabaga plants have aphids all over the leaves. Okay, I'm out of all of my regular camera batteries, so I pulled out the iPhone to finish up this video for today. So yeah, all of the plants that have been growing over there in those little hoop houses, I have had somewhat of an aphid issue, and I'm not really sure why, other than it's more of a contained space and the rainwater and the sprinkler water isn't like getting direct hit on knocking them off. To be honest, I haven't really treated it. I haven't tried. I would use diatomaceous earth. Maybe I'll do that today. I don't know. I just haven't had time to really think about it. And it's not affecting the crops in there too much. But yeah, these little rutabaga, these greens here, they are covered with aphid and aphid eggs. So I'm actually going to just cut all of the greens off those very small ones, and I'm just gonna throw those over into the chicken yard back there. But all of the really big ones here that I pulled out of my circle garden. The greens look good, so I'm gonna take those into the house and figure out what I'm gonna do with those greens. I think I might try and just blanch and freeze them, maybe half of them, and then maybe the other half I will work on dehydrating and turning them into like a powder. Been trying to use up all of my harvest more so that we have stuff through the off season and the winters, so I don't have to buy produce from the grocery store in the winter time. So I cut the tops off of those and I left it, it's like 2 or 3 inches of some green on top just for storage purposes until I get through all of these to process. And I'm gonna take all of this back to the chickens. Hi, chickens. Chicken. I brought you some aphids to eat. So thanks for hanging out with me today while we harvested the spring rutabaga crop. I am going to spend most of today in the house. We're gonna have a high of 86 degrees, which is very lovely. Although my refrigerator is packed full of garlic scapes, so I have to get those preserved, and now I have 17 rutabaga that I also need to preserve since I do not have any type of refrigerator space in my very small kitchen. My house was built in 1850 and they did not believe in large kitchens at that time apparently. So my refrigerator is very small to fit in my very small kitchen, and I do not have room for 17 rutabaga. So that was one of the reasons why I waited for a day such as this where I could spend it working on chopping and blanching and preserving. I might do some canning, freezing, dehydrating, lots of ings happening, but it's a good, I'll put on some music and have a good day of it. So come back for more gardening and harvesting videos. So happy to have you here. Subscribe to the channel and I'll catch you next time. Do something you love today, everybody. Bye.